Hi drivers, my name's Paul Taylor. I'm one of the attorneys with Truckers Justice Center. We're a law firm that represents truck drivers and people employed in transportation industries and employment matters. So I want to talk today just to you truck drivers who are thinking about quitting. So I just want to give you some tips on quitting gracefully. Because even when you quit, if a carrier blacklists you, you're not necessarily entitled to a clean work record or a nice reference. First of all, on references, people can tell the truth about you. The other thing that they, even if it's harmful, the other thing about past employment references that even when they lie, the carriers, which is most of the time, you don't always have a remedy if a carrier is lying about you, or a practical remedy. For example, if a carrier says you had an abandonment, they just write on your DOT background check, they write abandonment, the one that they're responsible for sending back to any other place you apply. Well, what does that mean? It might mean you abandoned the truck. It might mean you abandoned any other things. But they are required to send those forms back pursuant to DOT regulations. So if you quit carrier ABC and you're going to work for carrier XYZ, you want to make sure ABC, if you can, doesn't badmouth you, say anything that's going to harm your career. Because a court could technically find that carrier ABC is protected under the law because they are required under DOT regulations to send background information back to anybody who wants to employ you. So what happens when you apply for work with a carrier, or any, private carrier, a public carrier, any CDL required job, that carrier with whom you apply has to contact your past employers, a certain number for a certain length of period. That doesn't matter here. But when they contact those carriers, your former employers, those carriers have a certain amount of protection against a lawsuit if they say certain things about you. So the best thing is to not give a carrier cause to blacklist you. So just some tips that I've learned as a lawyer, and some of you are going to poo-poo them and not going to like what I have to say. 1, return the truck to the location designated by the carrier no matter what. If you're in Montana and your wife gets sick and you got to fly home, you don't want an abandonment on your record. Get that truck back to Chicago if that's where you picked it up, or if that's your home terminal, or where the carrier designates. You do not need a quit unauthorized location on your DAC report, or an abandonment. Abandonment can cover any number of things. So always, always, always return the truck unless you are physically incapable to, due to an injury or a disability. 2, the exception to number 1. Don't return the truck if to do so would violate DOT regulations. So if you're out on the road and the carrier says, drive the truck, I don't care if it has an audible air leak and 4 bald tires, that's fine, you're quitting, get it back to us. No, that's an exception to rule number 1. So refuse to drive the truck until the carrier brings it into compliance with DOT safety regulations. So if you say, I'm quitting because you're refusing to repair this truck, you tell them, I will return it to the location where you designate once you take care of these bald tires, or this audible air leak, or the windshield wipers that don't work. So 1, return the truck. 2, if you're not going to return the truck for safety reasons, make sure that you give the carrier the reasons why, that it's not safe, or it violates DOT regulation 391 point whatever. So make sure you articulate to the carrier any reason for refusal. 3, when you return to the truck, don't trash it. Clean it out. It should be spick and span. Showroom ready if you need to. I know you want to probably return it in the same condition you got it if you got it in crappy condition. But it's very important. We're not talking about who's right and wrong here. We're talking about protecting your job. So make sure you return the truck clean, inside, out. Take pictures. If you can, be nice and ask the carrier to sign off on, that it got returned in good condition. You don't want, any bad information passed along. 4, quit courteously. Give notice. Give at least 2 weeks notice. There is no legal requirement to give notice. Generally, say, there's no law that says all truck drivers must give at least 2 weeks notice. We're not talking about the law here. We're talking about what's practical. What's practical for protecting your future employability. So if you tell somebody, you pull in, you just finished a load in Chicago, and you pull into the carrier's terminal that's say in Rockford, and you say, I'm quitting. When? Right now. No, don't do that. That's not courteous, and you can end up with quit without notice on your record. When you're quitting, if you can, you put anger aside, you put resentment aside, and you quit gracefully. There's an old saying, be careful, don't burn any bridges, because someday you might have to recross that bridge, and you don't want to do it. Ultimately, you do have some legal protections if you quit and refuse to drive a truck because it doesn't comply with DOT regulations, or they want you to break hours of service. That's fine. Call us. You do have legal protections. You have some legal protections against blacklisting, but they're very limited because, again, to recap, the carrier is required by law to provide certain information, and a lawsuit just isn't practical. So feel free to call us if you have any legal questions about trucking employment. My name's Paul Taylor again. Bye.